What's up, guys? The Lazy Goldmaker here. Today we're going to take a look at what was the most profitable profession by a significant margin for me in the original classic servers. I'm obviously talking about alchemy, so we're going to take a look at what the relevant recipes are and where you can get them. So, first things first, physical DPS. Those are king. So Elixir of the Mongoose. Warriors are essentially the strongest class in all of Classic. They're the strongest across pretty much everything. So anything that they use is going to be the stuff that sells absolutely best, but there's still going to be good sales or good potential in other markets, other types of consumables, but warriors, those are the main ones. So we're going to look through some of the recipes. Elixir of the Mongoose, this is the first one. This is probably the most powerful consumable in Classic with a 2% crit chance for melee. The recipe is a world drop, which you can farm or you can buy it. It's pretty cheap on my realm, so there's that. We can see here, there's a decent amount of these on the auction house, but you can take advantage of something that I took advantage of a ton here, and that's pricing your selling in different stack sizes. So I would often overcut and sell in stacks of 3 and 4. There's no stacks of 4 on the auction house, for instance. So if someone just wants 4 for whatever reason, then they might buy mine, even if I priced them more expensively. But yeah, this one is really, really strong, used by warriors, rogues, hunters. It's very good. Then you have the Elixir of Giants. This is a world drop recipe. We can see this one's also very cheap. 25 strength, used by rogues and warriors. Slightly cheaper, but still something that sells really well, at least in my experience. This one you pretty much have to buy on the auction house because it just drops from random mobs all around the world. You can't really target farm it, but it's generally not too super expensive. Then if we swap over to casters, we have the Arcane Elixir and the Greater Arcane Elixir. And as you can see here, this recipe is extremely expensive. It essentially just drops from raid bosses with a fairly low chance, so it's only going to be farmed by guilds or GDKPs, and they're going to try to sell it for a significant value if they sell it. We can also see that there's almost no competition on these. So once people truly get into raiding, if you have this recipe, then you can make a lot of gold. Then you have the fire protection potions. So in Molten Core, you take a lot of damage. There's 2 fire protection potions. You have the normal one and the greater fire protection potion. They're pretty much, the fire protection potion is pretty strong. So it's going to do the job in most cases. So it does depend on the price difference. As we can see right now, the greater fire protection potion isn't that expensive. Recipe is 60 gold. So this recipe drops from the lower Blackrock Spire. So it's farmable, but you need a group. The fire protection potion recipe is sold by 2 vendors. For Horde, it's sold in Stone Talon. For Alliance, it's sold in Hillspread Foothills. So depending on the price of elemental fire versus the price of small flame sack, then that's going to determine like which of these players are going to buy. I sold both of them fairly well. We can see small flame sacks are still pretty cheap. Because I'm assuming there aren't that many raids going yet, because that's what these prices tell me at least. But both of those sell really well. People will often bring a stack or 2 to a raid night in Molten Core, so they're gonna sell pretty well. There's a lot of fights where the greater fire protection potion is really, really useful. It lasts for an hour, so people pop it before the fight where they need it, and then they still have time to pop their in-combat consumables. Next up, Elixir of Shadow Power. Wow, that's it's quite expensive. This one is sold by vendors, and it's the best one for warlocks and shadow priests, if there are any shadow priests. Surprisingly strong seller for me in Classic in general. Might not think this isn't going to cover the most popular class, but it does sell well. It does sell for some fairly nice prices, so there's that. Then we're gonna do one last little thing, probably the strongest recipe, strongest consumable in all of Classic. Free action potions. Yeah, these are extremely good. PvPers use these all the time. Anyone who's doing like ranking, Wars on Golds, whatever, they're going to spam a bunch of these. They're really strong in raid in multiple different scenarios. Most people who are like taking classic seriously are going to be using free action potions because they're extremely powerful. They're very cheap right now, very cheap. Often end up going for like a gold each. That was what it went to in classic. So as of right now, very cheap. The recipe is just sold by vendors in major cities. It is on a limited supply, but it's also usually you can find this very cheap on the auction house, the recipe. And this one is something that people are going to buy at volume. We can see here there's almost no stacks of 5, so there's very little. There's like, what, 100 free action potions. This is nothing once demand kicks in. So this is a great one to grab. So those are the ones I wanted to cover in this video. There's a couple of more that are really strong consumables. This isn't just the ones. We have the rest of them in my Trade Skill Master setup, which you can grab in the blog post linked in the description. So you have everything here in the high demand group. These are all really good to keep in stock and craft. Same with the potions. All of these are going to be useful at some point. Maybe not the frost protection and nature protection might be, and shadow protection might be later on. Might not see people bothering with these for phase 1, but all of these potions sell really well. I did all of these in classic. This is essentially my old classic setup, which is going to work really well. So yeah, grab the Trade Skill Master setup. You can import this group. You'll copy the string, import, and then you can utilize it with your professions to figure out what to craft. Just restock the group, and then you go here, click post scan, and it'll post everything to the auction house, and you can laugh all the way to the bank. Good luck.